clearly a popular revolution, right?
An American freelance journalist covering the conflict in Syria is missing and has not been heard from in weeks.
We have not had any new information. We continue to urge the Syrian regime to be more forthcoming.
We ask whoever is holding Austin to treat him well, to keep him safe, and to return him to us as soon as possible.
The Tice family now says they have grown increasingly frustrated with the U.S. government's response.
We fiercely miss Austin and long to have him safely home.
Likely still alive. That is now the position of the Trump administration regarding the disappearance and kidnapping of the American Austin Tice.
Did you understand when you left what was going to happen to him? You can imagine he just spent days and days in here plotting how he was going to escape. Who knows the truth?
What's up?
Is this him?
Ten months after the collapse of the brutal dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad, his dungeons have been emptied. But the ghosts of tens of thousands of his prisoners remain. Among the missing, Austin Tice, journalist, U.S. Marine captain, Georgetown law student, devoted son and brother, and my friend. For me, this is personal. I've come to Syria to find out what really happened to Austin and track down the shadowy figure who knows the answer. These are some of the last known videos of Austin alive, shown here for the first time.
I think that you likely have God on your side. It's so moving and peaceful. It's such like an act of community.
They were shot in the city of Yabrud in July 2012. 13 years later, we're meeting the man who captured those moments. Syrian activist Wasim Anawi. It is a day of celebration. Wasim is returning to his hometown after more than a decade in exile, one of countless Syrians who risked everything to stand up against Assad's oppressive rule. Many of them did not live to see a free Syria.
وسيم كان ذرة ضمن بحر تضحيات كاني بس الشيء اللي بيفرحنا انه تضحياتنا كلها مع بعض اثبتت انه نحن على طريق الحق وانه انتصرنا.
Austin spent nearly 3 weeks living with Wasim and his family here. During that time, we exchanged emails about covering the uprising and the hope and heartbreak unfolding across Syria.
I so wish that Austin could have seen this. This would have been his dream.
Wasim's father, Ahmed, takes us to see where he stayed.
This is the room where Austin slept. And here he was working on his laptop. Here.
Wow.
Here. This is his place.
Huh?
This is his place. Always he was here, just like this.
The photographs and articles Austin filed from Yabrud were published around the world. Snapshots of a revolution he was deeply inspired by.
So what's your comment? It's clearly a popular revolution, right? Anyone who says this is armed terrorists or whatever is missing the boat.
Allah يسلمك, Allah يسلمك. يلا جاي. This is the window.
This is the window where you guys were standing?
You were there,
yeah.
and the demonstration is from here.
So Austin is like leaning out of the window like this?
Yeah, to take shots from this side, yeah.
To take shots from this side of the demonstration. You can tell in that video that you made that Austin was really inspired.
Exactly, yeah. He was really feeling like one of the people in the street. He did a lot of interview with a lot of people in the road. Everyone's saying hello to him. So yeah, he was a little bit famous and lovely person.
From Yabrud, Austin traveled to a town called Al-Tal.
Between the shells, it's been a quiet day today here in the town of Al-Tal, just north of the Damascus capital.
And then on to the Damascus suburb of Diriyah, where he filed his last reports. In August 2012, this was the site of pitched battles between Assad's forces and rebels as they pushed closer and closer to the capital.
Everyone here who we bump into has stories of absolute horror to share about what they lived through, what they saw during years of a brutal civil war.
وكانوا منزلين حاطين عالم على الحيطان حاطين ايديهم هيك عمرو الشور.
Some are now beginning the process of rebuilding, but the scale of the task is jaw-dropping. From Diriyah, Austin managed to sneak into Damascus on one daring reporting trip. Then he was ready for a break and planned to travel to Beirut.
I'm just looking back through all of these emails that Austin and I were sending each other, and I have one from Sunday, August 12th. He was getting ready to cross into Lebanon. I was getting ready to meet him in Beirut. And he says, if I cross when I have plans to, we'll be throwing back those cocktails pretty soon. Of course, plans never really work out here.
I never heard from him again.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Weeks after Austin disappeared, a video surfaced online purporting to show him held by jihadists. Former U.S. officials tell CNN they quickly determined it was a ruse and that Austin was in the custody of the Assad regime.
Yesterday I was telling my wife that if I ever even, let's say, suspected that Austin Tice will be dealt with in this manner, I would have sure just made my way to inform the US.
Safwan Bahlul was a general in external intelligence at the time and one of the last people to see Austin alive, summoned in by the man who was holding him.
I was contacted by a four-star general at that time. He was called Bassam al-Hassan. He's very close to the president. He's on his private office, we say. And he told me, come to my office. I want to do something. And I went to his office and he told me, we have caught an American journalist. We want you to interrogate in a way or meet the guy and see the possibility if he's not a mere journalist, if he's a spy in a way. I just went through the names and the contacts on his phone, asking him question about each name, and he was cooperative about it. He told me that he's an ex-Marine officer. He was a polite gentleman. He was brave. He was not a shaky character. He wasn't shaky. He was brave enough to face his custody. Sometimes even we talked about music, which it's one of my fields of interest.
Did he ever ask you for help?
If you mean help to be freed, no, not at all. But he told me if I could obtain some things to make his life easy in the cell he was kept there. I told him like what? He told me, some magazines, journals to read, and okay, and what else? And he told me soap and towel, and I told him okay. And after that, I think the next day I was called by another guy in Bassam's office. He told me in Arabic, "Sahibna harib," which it means our pal just escaped. They discovered that he used the soap to rub his bare body with the soap to lubricate his body, and he put the towel on broken, shattered glass, which is cemented to the external fence.
We managed to get into the compound where Safwan says he interrogated Austin, at the time under the control of Assad's Republican Guard. It was never a formal prison, the perfect place to hide a high-value captive.
It could be this, look. So we know that he was held in a cell in this spot. Obviously, it's all been refurbished, so it's hard to match the descriptions exactly. But one thing particularly that Safwan talked about was this high window. You can imagine he just spent days and days in here plotting how he was going to escape.
For more than 24 hours, we're told Austin was on the run in the upscale neighborhood of Meza, perhaps hoping to reach the many embassies and United Nations offices in the area. But he didn't get far.
Every security apparatus in Damascus, which they are thousands of operatives, they started the search, and he was caught by one of them, and he was re-delivered to the National Defense Forces militia at Difa al-Watani, which headed at that time by Bassam al-Hassan.
Al-Hassan brought Safwan in to see Austin one more time.
It wasn't like the previous times I saw him. He was optimistic and energetic.
But he had lost hope.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because I was talking to him and he was not responding. He was, in a way we could say, depressed. And I never saw the guy again.
Did you understand when you left what was going to happen to him?
It's unimaginable even. In my wildest thinking, I wouldn't suspect that he will be, let's say, he will just disappear.
So let me ask you this. Who knows what happened to Austin? Who knows the truth?
The son.
Is this him?
Can I see it? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
For years, Bassam al-Hassan stayed in the shadows. Now, CNN has obtained new, never-before-seen images of him. Known in regime circles as Khal, or Uncle, he was a top Assad advisor and founder of the Iran-backed National Defense Forces militia, blamed for brutal massacres. He was sanctioned by the U.S. in 2014 in part due to his role in Syria's Scientific Studies and Research Center, the government agency responsible for developing and producing non-conventional weapons and missiles. After Austin is recaptured, al-Hassan brings him here.
So this was Bassam al-Hassan's office, and there was another office in there as well.
The soldiers now stationed here tell us the offices were looted after the fall of Assad. They ask we not show their faces. We follow them to a cave tucked away nearby, filled with ammunition and a secret passage to the mountain above. But no visible traces of Austin remain, and Bassam al-Hassan is long gone.
We're driving out of Syria now, and one thing that's become clear during our time here is that so many of the answers as to what happened to Austin are not here in Syria anymore.
After the fall of the Assad regime, al-Hassan fled quickly to Iran. Then, in April of this year, he showed up in Beirut, Lebanon, and sat down with the FBI for a series of interrogations about Austin. We've been given a tip about where al-Hassan is now hiding out. an upscale apartment complex in a suburb of Beirut. One balcony, and one man in particular, draws our attention. By the end of a long night of watching, we're convinced it's him. Wearing hidden cameras, producer Sara Sirgani and I go to confront him.
Hi, how are you? أنا اسمي Clarissa Ward. أنا مراسلة بمحطة CNN. My name's Clarissa Ward. I'm a journalist with CNN. Can I ask you a couple of questions? I'm looking for more information about my friend Austin Tice.
He invites us into the apartment, but he is clearly rattled and asks over and over again how we found him.
إنما أنا مصر أن أعرف من دلكم إلى المنزل. أنا لا أحد يعرف منزل.
I'm not going to tell you how we found out where you are. It's not important. We've been looking for you for a while. We know that you've given multiple different stories. Can you just tell me, because he was my friend, is Austin Tice dead?
طبعا أستاذ متوفي. أستاذ متوفي.
He tells us he explained to a team from the FBI that President Assad gave him the order to execute Austin, and that the order was carried out by a subordinate.
لا أريد أن أحمي بشار الأسد لأنه تخلى عنه وتركنا، ولا أريد أن أحميه. الأمر يتعلق برئيس بشار الأسد فقط.
But you sent him to his death.
لا أريد أن أدخل في أي تفصيل. هذه تفاصيل قلتها للفريق. قلت للفريق أنا تلقيت أمر وأوصلت الأمر فقط.
Can you just tell me one thing? Can you tell me when Austin died?
2012 أكتوبر من 2012 2013 13 ولا
He refuses to give any more information. When he asks to take a photograph of us, we decide to leave. At the door, he talks about Austin's mother, Deborah Tice. His voice cracks.
أنا مدين لها الاعتذار ومدين لها وضايق جدا عندما أتذكر صدقي.
Understood. Fine.
أتمنى أن كل ما حصل يحصل.
It is a gut punch to think that Austin may have been killed 12 years ago.
One thing that he was very emphatic about is that Austin is dead. Austin is dead. And he wants to pass his condolences to Deborah.
CNN has confirmed that Al-Hassan failed the FBI polygraph test. What is less clear is what parts of his story are a lie. In September, a U.S. delegation, including FBI investigators, came to Damascus to search for Austin's remains, based on a location given to them by Al-Hassan. They came away empty-handed. The full truth of what happened to my friend may well never be known, like the fate of countless Syrians.
Like my relatives, even until this moment, we don't know where they are right now. To hide the bodies of the people and didn't give the right to their family to say bye for the last time. You don't even have the right to ask if they are alive or not.
Everyone was keeping so many secrets.
Well, in a way.
Everyone was lying.
It's all about loyalty and nearly worshipping the commander. He's a supreme commander, he's a president, he's everything. So, lying is widely spread in the X regime, It's nothing personal. I was doing my job. That's all it is.
Austin may simply be remembered as yet another victim of the endless lies and senseless cruelty of a ruthless regime.